I just finished recording my empty video and I wanted to jump on again quickly to be able to do a quick foundation review. It's probably going to be one of my more quick foundation reviews, and I'll kind of unpack that in a few minutes as to why that is happening that way. But I really have discovered that I really do like doing the foundation reviews because they're fun to be able to try out different foundations and see if they live up to their claims and to see if it really is that right kind of mix. Because I feel like for most of us that really enjoy makeup, we have several different types of foundations for several different types of events, times a day, weekend, work things, fun times, for when you're going to be out this. You can, as much as you probably like makeup, you probably can fill in those blanks with so many different settings and events and contexts that you would want that foundation for. And of course, if you have absolutely perfect skin, you might not need any kind of foundation at all, but you still might like to have that on there just because of the maybe skin benefits you can get from there, from the SPF and all those other things. But anyway, I probably don't have to give rationales for makeup to all of you, which is why you're also probably watching this video. So what I did want to do, though, is to go through and talk about my experiences with the new Laura Mercier, the Fusion Foundation, and I'm going to give you, put it side by side, a little bit of me also applying it, and give you my thoughts on it. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, keep watching. So let's get into it. So this is the Laura Mercier. This is the Flawless Fusion. And I had this sample and ecru, which really, the color match was very good. The foundation itself, I'm not going to go ahead and read you all the claims. I'll kind of put them in wording up on the screen there. Because I know sometimes when people are just reading it to me, and I've usually, maybe this is just me, when I'm interested in a foundation, I'll watch 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 videos of people demoing it and reviewing it. So I usually end up fast forwarding through all the initial few minutes when they're talking about the benefits and what the product claims are, because I'm aware of that. I just want to get to the good stuff. So I guess what I'm saying right now is I'm just going to try and get to the good stuff, if there is good stuff, so that if you want to know more about the products, go ahead and you know where to do the research for that. And I'll put some benefits up on the screen here so you'll know what they are, the product claims are. So I purchased this, and well, first of all, I started with a sample, and I actually have the sample right here that I used of it. And then I went ahead and, based on my usage of that sample, I really liked it, so I went ahead and I purchased the full size, and I'll even show you the sample. You can see it's pretty much worn out there. And I went ahead and used it, and I will insert a clip of me applying it, so you'll be able to get an idea of kind of what it was like when I was applying it through there. I really liked it. It really went on very nicely. I used with primer, without primer. I found that I didn't necessarily have to have a primer for it to be able to last nicely throughout the day. I felt like it went on very nicely. It blended pretty easily. The normal kinds of things you would expect. There was a little less coverage when I used a beauty blender, a little more coverage when I used a brush. I found that it wasn't particular to one type of a brush. I could use like a fan brush. I could also use more of like a flat type brush that all kind of gave, so in other words, it's not one of those very finicky foundations. I found like it applied very well. I have to say I didn't try applying it all on my fingers just because I tend not to do that. And both my beauty blender and the brushes were all working really well. So I felt like it went on very nice. It gave a nice coverage. I did appreciate the finish of it. It, to me, on my skin, which is more normal at this time of the year right now, it can get a little tiny bit of some oil coming through, but I wouldn't say my skin is oily at all. And I do have a few dry patches, but not much. I'm really more normal at this time of the year. Winter, I can get much drier. I did have a little bit where I'd break maybe a little bit too much of a shine towards the end of the day. But otherwise it would go on and kind of have a nice natural kind of satin. I guess it came across as a satin finish more on my skin. I did typically powder it down a little bit. Sometimes did powder, sometimes didn't. It wasn't one of those that begged to be powdered right from the start. It did, however, leave a little bit of a tackier feel on my skin. So throughout the day, if you would be touching it, you kind of, oh, I can feel a little bit. And I didn't notice the difference whether I powdered or not. I guess I should have started that part out there in the front part there. So anyway, my first impressions were I really appreciated it. I really liked it. It gave a nice finish. I wouldn't say it was a natural finish. Yes, I could tell I had makeup on. But that doesn't always bother me as long as it's not cakey looking. However, the reason that I have a sample here and I'm showing you clips of the foundation instead of holding up the bottle of foundation was that I noticed, and I'm not 100% sure it was because of this foundation, I started breaking out quite badly in some cystic acne to the point where when I started narrowing down out the products that were maybe causing that, I still am not sure if it was some newer skincare or if it was the foundation. I couldn't get to the root of either ones, but those are the only two things that were left. And you know, once you have the cystic acne, it takes so long to kind of go away that I really wasn't sure. But I do not want to put the foundation back on my skin again because that was really the only other new thing besides some of the skincare products, which are not supposed to cause you to break out. So unfortunately, I did return it because it just, I said, once you start breaking out cystic acne, and you haven't had cystic acne probably for a good 2 to 3 years, at least in the amount that I was getting, all of a sudden it wasn't just like the one little breakout. I all of a sudden had like 4 and 5 all over my face, which is not fun when you're older, right? Let's be real. It's not fun anytime, but especially when you're older, you're like, I thought at least my age and wisdom would also include no acne. But I digress. So I stopped using the foundation right away and have not wanted to put it back on again. So I wanted to get in to be able to do this review, to be able to tell you that I really think it was a nice foundation. It didn't have the longevity of some of my other foundations, even when I used various primers like my Hourglass one, or I love my number 7 one. And the Blur Stick, none of those seemed to keep it lasting any longer, so it definitely wasn't a long lasting one. It would go for like the 6 to 7 hours, but after that it would start really breaking up on me. I could really start seeing it coming through more. But I really did like it. I like Laura Mercier products. So there were some really good pieces to it for there, and I liked the finish and the coverage of it. And as long as you're not too oily, probably the little bit of oil breakthrough is probably not a bad effect. It didn't oxidize on me. However, I also want to put that out there. So it might not happen for you that you break out in the cystic acne because it is a wonderful foundation, and maybe it wasn't that. So I want to let you know that there's those things, but then also know that if you are having some breakouts, that maybe think it back to some of the foundation. I probably will at some point again try it again after I know for sure that my skin is doing really well and have that be the only variable that I'm entering in. However, at this point right now, I'm really no touchy is what I'm thinking as far as I'm not going to try it again until at least I know for sure that nothing else in my skincare is causing any of that cystic acne. But it was a very viable culprit, unfortunately. So beautiful, wonderful foundation. If your skin is not susceptible to any type of breakouts, it might be one I would definitely urge you to go through and try. I didn't get the experience with a small sample, so I would maybe think if you're going down that route, you might want to get a couple samples before you take the plunge of actually buying it, unless you do have the accessibility to return it. So a really nice foundation to be able to experiment and play with if you don't typically have reactions where you're breaking out. If you are and you do have that susceptibility, I would just give you a little bit of caution in thinking about that and be careful that nothing else in your skincare or your makeup products is changing while you slowly do try this product. So love Laura Mercier. This foundation really had some real strong possibilities. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for me. And it will be something I might go back and revisit again because I love foundations. So I hope this was helpful. I hope I don't want to put a dim light on this foundation because it does have some really good qualities and it might work for many other people. I just might be that outlier that had that impact from. But I do also want to put a caution out there that if you are a person who can react in this kind of way to some type of products, just to be aware of that as you're working into it and making sure that that's the only thing that you're introducing new into your makeup routine, your skincare routine when you're trying this. So with that, I'm sorry to give you bad news, but I'm hoping it also gives you good news because it is a great foundation. And for those people who do not have to worry about those kind of wonderful acne. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I look forward to your comments, your feedback. Have you had this happen? Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been fun. Leave me feedback and your thoughts on also the Laura Mercier. So maybe it's something I need to try again at a certain point, and I would love to go back and step into it again, because I guess I've said a couple times I love Laura Mercier foundations and makeup in general. Really, really wonderful quality products. So until next time, I hope everyone's having great and wonderful times. Bye.